Book of Heaven, the call of the creature to the order, the place, and the purpose for which he was created by God. Volume 1, by the servant of God, Luisa Piccarreta, little daughter of the divine will. For private use only. Volume 1, JMJ. In the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Out of pure obedience, I begin to write. You know, Lord, the sacrifice it costs me, such that I would submit myself to 1,000 deaths, rather than write one single line of the things that have passed between me and you. Oh my God, my nature trembles. It feels crushed and almost undone at the mere thought of it. Oh, please, give me strength, O life of my life, that I may do the holy obedience. You who have given inspiration to the confessor, give me the grace to be able to execute what is commanded of me. O Jesus, O spouse, O my strength, to you I rise, to you I come, into your arms I introduce myself, I abandon myself, I rest. Oh, please relieve me in my affliction, and do not leave me alone and abandoned. Without your help, I am sure I will not have the strength to do this obedience that costs me so much. I will let myself be defeated by the enemy, and I fear of being crushed by you justly because of my disobedience. Oh, please look at me again and again, oh, holy spouse, in these arms of yours. See by how much darkness I am surrounded. It is so thick as to allow not even one atom of light to enter into my soul. Oh, my mystical Son, Jesus, let this light shine within my mind, that it may dispel the darkness, and I may freely remember those graces that you had given to my soul. Oh, Eternal Son, unleash another ray of light into my inmost heart, and purify it of the mud in which it lies. Ignite it, consume it with your love, so that my heart, which more than anything has experienced the sweetnesses of your love, may manifest them clearly to the one to whom it is obliged to do so. Oh, my Son Jesus, one more ray of light upon my lips, that I may say the pure truth, with the sole purpose of knowing whether it is really you, or rather an illusion from the enemy. But oh, Jesus, how poor in light I still see myself in these arms of yours. Oh, please content me, you who love me so much. Continue to send me light. Oh, my Son, my beautiful one, I want to enter right into the center, that I may remain completely sunken within this most pure light. Oh, divine Son, let this light precede me in front of me, follow me behind me, surround me everywhere, and penetrate into every intimate hiding place of my interior, that my terrestrial being may be consumed, and you may transform it completely into your divine being. Most Holy Virgin, lovable Mother, come to my aid. Obtain for me from your sweet Jesus and mine grace and strength in order to do this obedience. Saint Joseph, my dear protector, assist me in this circumstance of mine. Archangel Saint Michael, defend me from the infernal enemy, who puts so many obstacles in my mind to make me fail this obedience. Archangel Saint Raphael, and you, my guardian angel, come to assist me and to accompany me, to direct my hand, that I may write the truth alone. May everything be for the honor and glory of God, and to me all the confusion. O holy spouse, come to my help. In considering the many graces you have given to my soul, I feel all horrified and frightened, all full of confusion and shame at seeing myself still so bad and unrequiting of your graces. But, my lovable and sweet Jesus, forgive me. Do not withdraw from me, but continue to pour your grace into me, that you may make of me a triumph of your mercy. I begin. A Novena of Holy Christmas. At the age of about 17, I prepared myself for the feast of Holy Christmas by practicing various acts of virtue and mortification, and especially by honoring the 9 months which Jesus spent in the maternal womb, with 9 hours of meditation each day, always concerning the mystery of the Incarnation. As for example, in 1 hour, with my thought, I brought myself to paradise, and I imagined the most holy Trinity, the Father sending the Son upon earth, the Son promptly obeying the will of the Father, the Holy Spirit consenting. My mind was confounded in contemplating a mystery so great, a love so reciprocal, so equal, so strong among themselves and toward men. And then the ingratitude of men, and especially my own. I would have remained there not for 1 hour, but for the whole day. But an interior voice told me, enough. Come and see other greater excesses of my love. Then my mind brought itself into the maternal womb, and remained stupefied in considering a God so great in heaven, now so annihilated, restricted, constrained as to be unable to move, and almost even to breathe. The interior voice told me, "Do you see how much I have loved you? Oh, please make me a little space in your heart. Remove everything which is not mine, so you will give me more freedom to move and to breathe." My heart was consumed. I asked for his forgiveness. I promised to be completely his own. I poured myself out in crying. But I say this to my confusion. I would go back to my usual defects. Oh, Jesus, how good you have been with this miserable creature. In this way, I would spend the 2nd hour of the day, and then so forth with the rest. I would be annoying if I told them all. And I would do this sometimes kneeling, and when I was impeded by my family, also while working. In fact, the interior voice gave me no respite and no peace if I did not do what it wanted. Therefore, work was not an impediment for me to doing what I had to do. In this way I spent the days of the Novena, and when the eve came, I felt more than ever ignited with unusual fervor. I was alone in the room, and here comes little baby Jesus in front of me, all beautiful, yes, but shivering, in the act of wanting to hug me. I stood up and ran to hug him, but in the act of squeezing him, he disappeared from me. And this occurred as many as 3 times. I remained so moved and ignited that I cannot explain it. But then, after some time, I did not take it much into account. I did not tell anyone, and from time to time I would fall into my usual defects. However, the interior voice never left me again. In everything it reprimanded me, it corrected me, it encouraged me. In a word, the Lord acted with me like a good father, whose child tries to deviate from the right path, and he uses all the attentions and cares to hold him back, so as to make of him his honor, his glory, his crown. But, O Lord, too ungrateful have I been with you. So, from the beginning, the Divine Master began to strip my heart of all creatures, and through an interior voice he would tell me, I am all that is beautiful and that deserves to be loved. See if you do not remove this little world that surrounds you, that is, thoughts of creatures, imagination, I cannot enter freely into your heart. This murmuring in your mind is a hindrance to letting you hear my voice more clearly, to pouring my graces, to truly enamoring you of me. Promise me that you will be all mine, and I myself will put my hand in the work. You are right that you can do nothing. Do not fear. I will do everything. Give me your will. This is enough for me. This would happen mostly during communion, so I would promise him to be all his own. I would ask his forgiveness, for up to that point I had not been so. I would say to him that I truly wanted to love him, and I prayed him never to leave me alone again without him. And the voice would continue, No, no, I will be together with you, observing all of your actions, your movements, your desires. So I would feel him upon me for the whole day. He reprimanded me in everything. For example, if I let myself be carried away in conversing a little too much with my family, even of indifferent things which were not necessary, the interior voice would tell me, These discourses fill your mind with things that do not belong to me. They surround your heart with dust, such as to make you feel my grace as weak, no longer alive. Oh, please, imitate me when I was in the house of Nazareth. My mind was occupied with nothing but the glory of the Father and the salvation of souls. My mouth uttered nothing but holy discourses. With my words, I tried to repair for the offenses against the Father. to dart through hearts and draw them to my love, and primarily my mother and Saint Joseph. In a word, everything called upon God, everything was done for God, and everything referred to Him. Why could you not do the same? I remained mute, all confused. I tried to be alone as much as I could. I confessed to Him my weakness, and I asked for His help and grace to be able to do what He wanted, because by myself I could do nothing but evil. If during the day my mind was occupied with thinking about people I loved, immediately He would reprimand me, telling me, "Is this the love you have for me? Who has ever loved you like me? Look, if you do not stop it, I will leave you." At times, I felt myself being given such and so many bitter reproaches that I would do nothing but cry. One morning in particular, after communion, He gave me a light so clear about the great love He had for me, and about the fickleness and inconstancy of creatures, that my heart was so convinced as to be incapable, from that time on, of loving anyone. He taught me the way how to love people without detaching myself from Him. That is, by looking at creatures as images of God, in such a way that, if I received good from creatures, I was to think that God alone was the prime author of that good, and that He had used the creature in order to send it to me. So my heart would be bound more to God. If then I received mortifications, I was to look at them also as instruments in the hand of God for my sanctification, so my heart would not remain huffy with my neighbor. In this way it happened that I would look at all creatures in God. Whatever fault I might see in them, I would never lose esteem for them. If they mocked me, I felt obliged, thinking that they were allowing me to make more gains for my soul. If they praised me, I received these praises with contempt, saying, "Today this, tomorrow they may hate me," considering their inconstancy. In sum, my heart acquired such freedom that I myself cannot explain it. When the Divine Master freed me from the external world, then He put His hand into purifying my interior. And through an interior voice He told me, "Now we are alone. There is no one left who may disturb us. Aren't you happier now than before, when you had to content many upon many? You see, it is easier to content one alone. You must consider as if you and I were alone in the world. Promise me to be faithful, and I will pour such and so many graces into you that you yourself will be amazed." Then He continued telling me, "I have made great designs upon you, as long as you correspond to me. I want to make of you a perfect image of me, beginning from the moment I was born up to my death. I myself will teach you, little at a time, the way you will do it." And it happened in this way. Every morning after communion, He would tell me what I was supposed to do during the day. I will say everything briefly, because after so much time it is impossible to say everything. I don't remember for sure, but it seems to me that he told me that the first thing which was necessary in order to purify the interior of my heart was the annihilation of myself. That is, humility. And he continued telling me, "See, so that I may pour my graces into your heart, I really want to make you understand that by yourself you can do nothing. I am very much wary of those souls who attribute what they do to themselves, wanting to make of my graces as many thefts. On the other hand, with those who know themselves, I am generous in pouring my graces in torrents. Knowing very well that they can attribute nothing to themselves, they are grateful to me. They hold it in that esteem which befits it, and they live with the continuous fear that, if they do not correspond to me, I may take away from them that which I gave, knowing that it is not something of their own. All the opposite in the hearts which reek of pride. I cannot even enter into their hearts, because they are so swollen within themselves that there is no space in which to put myself. The miserable ones take my graces into no account, and they go from fall to fall, up to their ruin. Therefore, on this day, I want you to make continuous acts of humility. I want you to be like a baby wrapped in swaddling clothes, who can move neither a foot to take a step, nor a hand to work, but expects everything from his mother. In the same way, you will stay close to me like a baby, always praying me to assist you, to help you, always confessing to me your nothingness. In sum, expecting everything from me. I tried to do as much as I could to content him. I would make myself smaller. I would annihilate myself. And sometimes I reached the point of feeling my being as almost undone, in such a way that I could not work, nor take one step, or even one breath, if he did not sustain me. Also, I saw myself as so bad that I was ashamed of being seen by people, knowing myself as the ugliest, as in reality I am still. So as much as I could shun people, I shunned them, saying to myself, "Oh, if they knew how bad I am, and if they could see the graces that the Lord is giving me," for I wouldn't tell anything to anyone, "and that I am always the same, oh, how horrified they would be with me." Then in the morning, when I would go again to communion, it seemed that in coming into me, he made feast for the contentment he felt in seeing me so annihilated. He would tell me other things about the annihilation of myself, but in ways which were always different from the previous time. I believe that he spoke to me not once, but hundreds of times, and if he had spoken to me thousands of times, he would have always new ways to speak about the same virtue. Oh, my divine Master, how wise you are! Had I at least corresponded to you. I remember that one morning, while he spoke to me about the same virtue, he told me that because of lack of humility, I had committed many sins, and that if I had been more humble, I would have kept closer to him, and I would not have done so much evil. He made me understand how ugly sin is, the affront that this miserable little worm had made to Jesus Christ, the horrendous ingratitude, the enormous wickedness, the harm that had come to my soul. I was so dismayed that I did not know what to do in order to repair. I did some mortifications. I asked for more from the confessor, but few were given to me. So they all seemed shadows to me, and I did nothing but think about my sins, though clinging more and more to him. I had such fear of moving away and of doing worse than before, that I myself cannot express it. When I was with him, I did nothing but tell him of the pain I felt for having offended him. I kept asking for his forgiveness. I thanked him for having been so good to me, and I said to him from the heart, "See, O Lord, the time I have lost while I could love you." So I was unable to say anything but the grave evil I had done. Finally, one day, reprimanding me, he told me, "I do not want you to think about it. When a soul has humbled herself, convinced of having done wrong, and has cleansed her soul in the sacrament of confession, and is ready to die rather than offend me, it is an affront to my mercy. It is a hindrance to drawing her close to my love, because her mind is always trying to roll in the past mud. She also prevents me from letting her take flights toward heaven, because she is always with those ideas wrapped within herself, if she tries to think about it. And then, see, I no longer remember anything. I have perfectly forgotten about it. Do you see any rancor or shadow on my part?" And I said to him, "No, Lord, you are so good." But I felt my heart split with tenderness. "Well then, are you the one who wants to carry these things on?" And I, No, I don't want to." And he, "Let us think about loving and contenting each other." From that time on, I did not think about it so much. I did as much as I could in order to content him, and I prayed that he himself would teach me what I should do in order to repair for the time past. And he said to me, "I am ready to do what you want. See, the first thing that I told you I wanted from you was the imitation of my life. So let us see what you lack." "Lord," I said to him, "I lack everything. I have nothing." "Well then," he said to me, "do not fear. Little by little we will do everything. I myself know how weak you are, but it is from me that you must draw strength. I don't remember it in sequence, but I will say what I can." And he added, "I want you to be always upright in your operating. With one eye, look at me, and with the other eye, look at what you are doing. I want creatures to disappear from you completely. If you receive a command, do not look at the people. No, but you must think that I myself want you to do what you are being commanded. So with your eye fixed in me, you will not judge anyone. You will not look at whether the thing is painful or enjoyable. whether you can do it or not. Closing your eyes to all this, you will open them to look at me alone. You will take me together with you, thinking that my gaze is fixed on you, and you will say to me, Lord, for you alone I do this. For you alone I want to work, no longer a slave of the creatures. So if you walk, if you work, if you speak, in anything you do, your only aim must be that of pleasing me alone. Oh, how many defects you will avoid if you do this. Other times he would say to me, I also want that if people mortify you, insult you, contradict you, you keep your gaze fixed in me, thinking that from my own lips I am saying to you, Daughter, I myself am the one who wants you to suffer this, not the creatures. Remove your gaze from them, but you and I, always. All others you must destroy. See, I want to render you beautiful by means of these sufferings. I want to enrich you with merits, work your soul, render you similar to me. You will give it to me as a gift. You will thank me affectionately, and will be grateful to those people who give you the occasion to suffer, repaying them with some benefit. By doing this, you will walk as upright before me. Nothing will ever again give you restlessness, and you will always enjoy peace. After I tried to exercise myself in these things for some time, now doing it, and now falling, although I see clearly that I still lack this spirit of uprightness, and I am ever more confounded, thinking of such great ingratitude of mine, he spoke to me about, and made me understand, the necessity of the spirit of mortification. Although I remember that in all these things that he told me, he always added that everything should be done for love of him, and that the most beautiful virtues, the greatest sacrifices, would render themselves insipid if they did not take origin from love. Charity, he said to me, is a virtue that gives life and splendor to all others, in such a way that without it they are all dead. My eye receives no attraction, and they have no power over my heart. Be attentive then, and let your works, even the least ones, be invested by charity, that is, in me, with me, and for me. So let's go back to mortification. I want, he said to me, that all your things, even the necessary ones, be done in a spirit of sacrifice. See, your works cannot be recognized by me as mine if they do not have the imprint of mortification. Just as a coin is not recognized by the peoples if it does not carry on itself the image of their king, even more it is despised and neglected. The same with your works, if they do not have the graft with my cross. They cannot have any value. See, now it is not about destroying the creatures, but yourself, making you die in order to live only in me and of my own life. It is true that it will cost you more than what you have done, but pluck up courage. Do not fear. It is not you who will do it, but I, myself, will operate in you. So I received more lights about the annihilation of myself. He said to me, "You are nothing but a shadow. As you try to grab it, it escapes you. You are nothing." I felt so annihilated that I would have wanted to hide in the deepest abysses, but I saw myself incapable of doing it. I felt such blushing that I remained mute. While I was in this undoing of my nothingness, he said to me, "Draw near me, cling to my arm. I will sustain you with my hands and you will receive strength. You are blind, but my light will serve you as guide. See, I will place myself in front of you, and you will do nothing but look at me in order to imitate me." Then he said to me, "The first thing I want you to mortify is your will. That self must be destroyed in you. I want you to keep it sacrificed as victim before me, so that your will and mine may become one. Aren't you happy?" "Yes, Lord, but give me the grace, for I see that by myself I can do nothing." And he continued telling me, "Yes, I myself will contradict you in everything, and occasionally by means of creatures." And so it happened. For example, if in the morning I woke up and did not get up immediately, the interior voice would tell me, "You rest," while I had no other bed but the cross. Hurry up, not so much satisfaction." If I walked and my sight would run a little farther, immediately he would reprimand me. "I do not want this. Do not let your sight move away from you but the length of one step, so that you won't trip." If I was in the countryside and I saw flowers and trees, he would say to me, "I have created everything for love of you, and you deprive your sight of this delight for love of me." Even in the most innocent and holy things, as for example the cloths for the altars, the processions, he would say to me, "You must take no other pleasure but in me alone." If I was sitting while working, he would say to me, "You are too comfortable. Don't you remember that my life was a continuous suffering? And you? And you?" In order to content him, I would immediately shift to half of the chair, leaving the other half empty. And sometimes jokingly I said to him, "See, O Lord, half the chair is empty. Come and sit near me." Sometimes it seemed he would content me, and I felt such delight that I myself cannot express it. Sometimes then, while I was working a little slowly and listlessly, he would say to me, "Hurry up, help yourself, for in the time you gain by helping yourself, you will come and be with me in prayer." Sometimes he himself would assign to me how much work I was supposed to do. Then I would pray him to come and help me. "Yes, yes," he would answer me, "we will do it together, so that when you have finished, we will be more free." And it would happen that in 1 hour or 2, I did what I was supposed to do during the whole day. Then I would go to pray, and he gave me much light and told me many things, such that it would be too long if I wanted to say them all. I remember that while I was alone, working, I noticed that the thread was not enough to finish that work, and that I would need to go to my family in order to get some. So I turned to him and I said, "What is the purpose of having helped me, my beloved? As I see that I need to go to my family, and I may find people who may prevent me from coming back here, and this time our conversation will come to nothing." What, he said to me. "Don't you have faith?" "Yes." "Well then, do not fear, for I will make you complete everything." And so it happened. And then I would start to pray. If then at lunchtime I ate something tasty, immediately he would reprimand me interiorly, saying, "Have you perhaps forgotten that I had no other taste but suffering for love of you? And that you must have no other taste but mortifying yourself for love of me? Leave it aside, and eat that which you like the least." And immediately I would take it and bring it to the maid, or I would say that I didn't want it any more. And many times I remained almost on an empty stomach. However, when I would go to pray, I would receive so much strength and feel so satiated that I would feel nausea for everything. Other times then, in order to contradict me, if I did not feel like eating, he would say to me, "I want you to eat for love of me, and as the food unites with the body, pray to me that my love may unite with your soul, and everything will be sanctified." In a word, without going any further, even in the smallest things he tried to make my will die, so that it might live only for him. He allowed that I be contradicted also by the confessor. As for example, I would feel a great need to receive communion. For the whole day and night I would do nothing but prepare myself. My eyes could not close to sleep because of the continuous throbbing of my heart. I would say to him, "Lord, hurry, for I cannot be without you. Accelerate the hours. Let the sun rise quickly, for I cannot endure any more. My heart is fainting." He himself would make me such loving invitations that I would feel my heart crack. He would say to me, "See, I am alone. Do not be troubled because you cannot sleep. This is about keeping company with your God, with your spouse, with your all, who is continuously offended. Oh, please do not deny me this relief, because then, in your afflictions, I do not leave you." But while I was with these dispositions, in the morning I would go to the confessor, and without knowing why, the first thing he would say to me was, "I do not want you to receive communion." I tell the truth, this was so bitter for me that sometimes I would do nothing but cry. I would not dare to say anything to the confessor, because he himself wanted me to do so. Otherwise he would reproach me. But I would go to him and tell him of my pain. Ah, my good, is this the vigil we have kept last night? That after so much waiting and yearning, I was to remain without you? I know well that I must obey. But tell me something. Can I be without you? Who will give me strength? And then who will have the courage to depart from this church without bringing you along? I don't know what to do, but you can remedy everything. While pouring myself out in this way, I would feel a fire come near me, and a flame enter into my heart. I would feel him inside of me, and immediately he would say to me, "Calm yourself, calm yourself. Here you are. I am already in your heart. What do you fear now? Do not afflict yourself any more. I myself want to dry your tears. You are right. You could not be without me, could you?" I would then remain so very annihilated within myself, and I would say to him that if I were good, he would not have disposed it in that way. And I prayed him never to leave me again, for I did not want to be without him. Fiat.
You have reached the end of Part 1 for the 7-part recording of Volume 1, Book of Heaven, The Call of the Creature to the Order, the Place, and the Purpose for which he was created by God.